Oh, maybe. Let me get the notepad out. I'm just gonna put down build more gates, and I'll remove it if you don't need it. All right.
I don't remember which one is this.
You don't remember
No.
which this is, but this is the one you want me to look at?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a few games that have way too many gates, and I have a few that have like little.
What is
two,
way too many? What's the number that is way too many?
like 16?
That is rarely way too many unless it's like before 3 base. Especially for less multitasking oriented players. So,
Well,
can you tell me anything about this game? Are we just going in and I'll just point things out?
well, it's Sky Toss,
Okay.
and
Like a little more detail.
I did not win, so that's very.
You didn't
That's not
win.
supposed to
All right.
happen, right? If I play Sky Toss and get to 20 minutes, I should win.
Did you get Storm?
Well, probably. I don't know. It's 30
Okay.
minutes.
Alright.
At some point, there must be stuff.
We'd usually be looking for games that you can remember a little more than like.
Well, it's already a month ago, so we're at end of
That's
July.
That's not the. That wasn't a good excuse, to be clear. You know, you can just send any replay.
Some of the recent ones are not really that important. I think they're either boring.
But
or
why
short.
is this one important then? You
I
can't tell
remember
me.
it's probably like I really think I should win, but I didn't. Something like that.
Ah. Okay, so what do you notice?
Well, that's a 12 full.
Not necessarily.
13 maybe, but it's way too
More
early.
important. More relevant. Details. What details?
No gas.
There you go. That's the important one. You should be basing most of your decisions now on whether or not he has the gas. And without gas, it's just slowlings. And maybe like a proxy hatch, but rarely a proxy hatch. It's a good wall. I think this is all fine. No, you don't. You don't really need the... I mean, I guess it's good to be careful. This is where you screwed up. Like, you really need... Like, have I talked about second pylons before?
Well,
Oh,
maybe.
but this was different because it was stressful. No, this is the most important time for your second pylon to be on time. Because that second unit is the difference between this potentially spiraling out of control and just shutting it down. And
Well,
like, you
probably
don't need to
let
wall
the-
off behind the zealot, because if they get in, like, if the zealot dies, then you're already like, you needed that second pylon. You just needed it, and you don't have it. You need to be able to either build another zealot, like, you can probably get away with waiting for adepts against no gas, but 2 zealots is fine if you can build the 2 zealots.
Well, I'll probably let the second one finish.
And
right
now
so I
you're
can get the
behind.
adept.
Now you are behind, because now you're gonna feel like you have to do something with adepts, right?
No, why?
Because you hardwalled in.
Well, I can take down the wall.
But why are you building shield batteries?
I thought the wall would not hold.
This all comes down to not building a second pylon. I could turn this off and say get your second pylon on time, and that'd probably be the most productive thing to do. But there will be games. No, I'm saying that because if you had 2 zealots, none of this would have happened. What would have happened is you get a second zealot, you deal with the zerglings, or at least you don't panic and waste. Like, you need to be expanded. You saw him trying to take a hatch. His hatch is 2/3 of the way done. Like, building 2 shield batteries right now is
Well,
like,
this is
you don't need any shield batteries to defend this. It's a no
I mean,
gas.
this is a month ago. Right now, I'm fine with this.
I remind you, this is the replay you told me to look at.
Well, it's later parts, not this part.
So you're saying you're completely fine with dealing with 13 pulls now, which is what this was.
Well, yeah, because every Zerg I've met on the ladder are doing that. So
The key is to get your expansion as quick as possible without letting the Zerglings in your base. If you overreact, that's how they get ahead. Like, I do a 13 pool against Protoss because so many Protoss, even at Masters, will do something like this. They're like making shield batteries and stuff, and I'm like, okay, every shield battery I see is more of a smile because I know I'm getting further ahead. How those shield batteries panning out? How's that wall panning out?
oh,
Okay, so
it's not a wall anymore.
I
Well, it's still a wall,
will
but-
just say that we'll speed past this, but this is very bad. This is about as bad. Like, you have really put a lot of effort into this being bad. You see that, I assume. Yes. So, your panic has led to him actually doing damage. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy here. Like, oh, those Zerglings are pretty scary, and now that you've proved it. Yeah, that is a very ugly wall. Oh my.
Oh, I did something with it. That's fine.
Forces are under attack.
So, did we check the other third? No. Not quite. Are you?
I went past it.
But you didn't quite go past it. It wasn't finished. It's
is
already
it
done,
there?
by the way.
Oh, it's there.
It's done.
Wow.
So that is kind of very important information to have. Though, killing... How many did you get? 4 drones? Like, it's not terrible. But not knowing if he has a third is information that you can't... Like, you just can't miss that. Especially if you're going to send 2 adepts out. I bet, like, if he's on 2 base with no gas, he should be feeling amazing right now. Like... But...
Right.
Okay,
Well,
a robo.
I always forget to check that third. Because it's not a
Okay.
normal place.
Honestly, the higher level the Zerg, the more likely they are to take that one. The other third
For
is more annoying to
pre-walks, I
defend.
guess.
Forward, third, check. Light Shade, since apparently we're using the same maps, Light Shade is another. Honestly, almost every map. Because we have our
Okay.
standard maps, right?
Jaganasa. I don't know.
Juggernaut.
That's a Queen Walk map.
But isn't. Yeah,
That map is especially Queen Walk.
Your forces
That's
are
true.
taking damage. Terrible, terrible damage.
yeah, you still... I mean, there's not much else to be done. What are you doing? Why are you building 2 oracles?
Well, they're
Okay, so
Yeah,
I
good-
think part
good
of the
scouting
reason
tools.
you have struggles in the mid or late game is because you have no plan in the early game at all. They're good scouting
Yeah.
tools? Is that what you came up with?
they are good.
You know what else is... You've got adepts in his base multiple times. You're not lacking in scouting. I mean,
Well, they're also good for stasis.
the stasis, there you go. You could just... Stasis is decent for justifying them, but... But look closer. What else did you see?
Some Hydrodens, not Hydroden, Roachor, sorry.
Okay, and what else?
Is that an Evo? I forgot.
It was an Evo. So if you see a Roachhorn finishing and an Evo chamber not done, what does that tell you about how aggressive he feels like being?
Well, not aggressive.
Do you think you
I don't-
factored that in during the game?
Probably not, because I have no idea when the Evos should be going down.
Needed.
I mean, generally when you see a Roachhorn not done and Evo not done, that means there's a while yet until you need to worry. So you're going to go double Robo, double Stargate with Oracles. which is I don't recommend more than 2 oracles for you. Let me just in general make that clear.
No, I want to use more than 2.
That field's been mined out.
Too hard.
2 oracle, like
Opponent.
he
It's
already,
already too hard.
Time to reach
Yeah.
the end.
you've already seen the queen count. Well,
Looks
it's
we're
like he'll
going
whittle
for
down
it.
your oracle count for you. Okay, so what did you just build?
A bunch of cannons. I
No,
thought
no,
he
okay.
is
What did
going
you
to
just
queen
build a
walk.
minute ago?
Robo.
And a Robo Bay.
Yeah.
You know it's
Oh,
pretty good
disruptors.
against queen. So like, do you suffer from short-term memory loss?
Probably. I'm
Yep.
convinced.
That makes sense because on paper, I feel like what's your plan going into PvZ? What is your game plan?
Well, it used to be just wait until 20 minutes.
And now what is it?
I'm doing a 4-gate 2 basing.
So these are like, I'm not going to judge you for the plan. It's important to have a plan though. Like you can't just, you're Protoss, not Zerk. You don't just react. If he is doing, I feel like you're really trying to convince yourself he's queen walking. Like this entire game, you've been waiting for the moment. By the way, you still haven't scouted the 3rd or the 4th. You've scouted what is the 5th though. So
That's a 5th.
yes, if you look at everyone's cam, that is the 5th
what a
hatchery he
crazy
built.
Guy.
I mean, he's got money in the bank from the 3rd base you didn't scout, is where that came from. So, like, we need to, instead of trying to kill, like, 4 drones with oracles, just, don't.
Wow, I will never
Oracles
saw
for scouting only. They don't have weapons. I'm writing this.
That's a really weird force.
No, I wouldn't say so. Also, he has still 1,000 minerals, so he's just trying to spend his money. But
He probably queen walk in the end. I mean, he has 11
I
queen,
mean,
that's-
if he queen walks at 200 supply with 84 drones, I don't think that really counts. But I'm pretty sure you came into this convinced it was a queen walk issue, and at some point it's going to be a queen walk, and you're gonna say, "See." But
it's 35 minutes.
I think
at that point.
150 supply is when we get past queen walking being like the strat and more just being inevitable. Especially for someone with like 20 queens. Which you kind of baited him into. Remember, you keep sending out Void Rays and Oracles, so like... He would not have built this many queens if you didn't keep sending in random Stargate units.
Oh, I got disruptors. So,
You did.
That's
You are
something.
going with the full Skittles variety pack on this one. Like, we got some Adepts, we got some Oracles, we got some Void Rays. You think we'll ever get a Twilight Council?
not
Just-
now.
Okay, I want you to tell me your dream Protoss. What is... You have unlimited money. You have all the upgrades you need. You have 80 probes, so you have 120 supply to work with. What is your dream army? What is it made out of?
Well, depending on what the Zerg do.
No. What is your dream army? It doesn't depend on what the Zerg does.
Hmm.
Okay. First unit. Pick one unit.
Well, I guess carrier disruptors.
No disruptors. You're not microing disruptors. All right. How many carriers are in this dream army?
Well, if I don't have disruptors, that would be like 12 carriers.
Okay, 12 carriers. That's 72 supply. All right. You still got 50 to work with.
Maybe like a oracle.
That's good. All right. Oracle.
Like 5 stormers. What are they? High Templars.
5 Templar.
Hmm.
You still
Room
got
to-
20,
room to
30
work with.
supply to work with.
Well, maybe some zealot workings. I don't know.
A dozen? All right.
If it's a dozen Zelo, then it's over budget.
No, it's not. 72 for the carriers, 3 for the Oracle, 12 for the High Templar. So that puts us at 87. 12 Zealots is 24. That puts us at, I'm sorry. No, that puts us at 111. You still got 9 supply.
And the mothership.
There you go. There's your army. You built the right army. In a dream world, you built the right army. That is the army. I mean, the details would be a couple sentries for Guardian Shield. Archons instead of Zealots would be probably better. But you don't need... That should be... If you're going to sit there, like, and I say this with love, a little bitch for 20 minutes... Like building cannons, like you're building carriers. You're not building carriers though. So, but if you're gonna sit there with a dozen cannons, obviously not intending to do anything but play defensive, that is the army you're building. I don't disagree with any part of that. The things I would change if your opponent was doing anything in particular, if they're very heavy on corruptors, you throw in Void Race. Like, maybe not quite so many on the carriers, like 8 or 9 carriers and half a dozen Void Race. Or, if, like, they have a lot of static defense, or things like Lurkers, maybe some more Tempest with the Tempest upgrade.
I think that's what happened in this game.
Yes, but you are obviously... like, you are going to find your way there eventually. You don't have a plan to get there. I think you just eventually stumble upon it. It's important to know where you're going, so that way you can know if you're going in the right direction.
That's why I play 4-gate now, because the game, well, it's planned out.
You know what I'm going. Like, if it works for you, it works for you.
I mean, for a 4-gate, you push, and if you doesn't like get anything, then it's probably dead.
It does expedite the process. But if you work towards that super annoying army, instead of going like Disruptor, the Disruptors are actually good against a Queen Walk, if that's what he was actually doing.
I think it's a... I thought it was a...
You've thought it was a Queen Walk since like the third minute of the game, okay? Like,
I get Tempest, because Tempests are also fine with dealing with...
Okay, it's no longer a Queen Walk. He has 4 to 6 bases. We are 10 minutes in. I wouldn't worry as much about Queens now. Like, as you get like 70 probes, which was a while ago, as you get like your third base up and running, that's when you need to be working towards the army. Like, you're kind of dragging in all the pieces here. You're getting shield upgrades first, which is a choice that you can make. You've got a Twilight. You've technically got a Fleet Beacon, which you've researched Flux Veins for. So, like, all the pieces are there. But they're not the best they could. Like, I think you can look at this and say, obviously I could have built more carriers earlier instead of just, like, why are we building more cannons? Do you need more cannons? More than, like, it's not like you don't have money, but you only have 2 Stargates. Do you think more than 2 Stargates would probably be good? More than, like, 8 gateways is not really enough, even though you're not warping anything in. Like, before you build your 12th cannon, I would argue you should build more than 2 Stargates. Max 8 cannons before mass production. Mass production, I would say, is like 4 Stargates.
Well, I have 2 robos, though.
Yes, I know that.
I'm not using it, but I have
Yes,
2.
you do have 2 robos. You have 5 disruptors. So, like, any ground attack is probably, like, the disruptors, if they can't cover it, I don't think a couple more cannons are really going to make the difference. Like, you've got a lot of disruptors. Okay, so now we're going to get everything else.
Well, it's getting there. It's just a bit slow.
Yeah, this is why it's important to have the direction as opposed to like because you've been stressed out about a queen walk since like the 5-minute mark. But most of the reason you were stressed out is because you just didn't see his base. Like you were, even if you don't know for sure, like seeing 2 bases on a Zerg does feel different. Just go to the everyone cam right now and tell me if this looks like an aggressive Zerg to you.
No.
He has 108 creep tumors, which are remarkably inefficient right now. He has 26 spores, so if I was him, or if I was talking to him, I would say maybe let's try maxing out before building 13 spine crawlers because our opponent has made 0 zealots.
Wait, 13 spines? Oh,
He's building 13. He's got 26 spores. He's got 13 spines on the way.
he might be a Terran player. I don't know.
He might be. In fact, like this is one of you might have found the only Zerg who won't try to kill you. Honestly, occasionally you'll find him, but rarely do Zergs just give up on any sort of aggression. Like he did the Zergling attack, and then he sat there threateningly for the last 10 minutes. At least from your perspective. And you've done the same thing to him, but you've hurt him more. You've given him more reason to play like this than he's given you, by the way. At least you've attacked in some way. Alright, Bob. Is this worth your time?
Maybe not.
This upgrade makes your unit
Maybe
stronger.
warping in any High Templar would be a priority.
Research is done.
Oh my god, he's making 20 creep tumors.
That one's been inbound for years.
What a guy.
That mineral field.
Wow. We have really just no rush 12-minute in this. I mean, you tried to attack, but not really.
Your
What?
forces are under attack.
Okay.
That field's been mined out. Hope you have an.
So, what happened to those zealots?
Oh, they are throwaway units.
Remarkably so.
Expansion.
Did they kill anything? Probably not.
They killed nothing, but the point is you don't know that. And usually I'd be like, okay, good job focusing on other things. But you kind of were just sitting there. So that was more of a, I should do a zealot counterattack. And then you're like, glad that's out of the way. That's what it looked like to me. Yeah, so every single one of those gateway units could and should be a High Templar. Zest will kill his own gateway units. I see him kill his stalkers all the time. Like, he's like, these terrible units don't need to be in my army anymore. And he's right, because adepts are not the late game option you're looking for. You did research Storm. You have yet to warp in a High Templar, which I think is maybe not the greatest utilization of Storm, but
The enemy. Upgrades done. To us up. Your
Well,
forces
I have
that
5
mineral field
disrupt.
gone. Terrible.
I'm excited to see how these disruptors do. Because disruptors are even harder to use than High Templar, because High Templar at least have the water balloons.
Like we're going to the lake.
Well, High Templars don't kill Ravagers. Like you need two
Ravagers are not the problem here.
stones. And Queens. They don't kill Queens.
I think High Templar do better against queens than disruptors do.
Really?
Feedback exists.
But feedback's a single target.
Yes. What about Vipers existing? What about how Storm is... The danger is if he goes Mass Corruptor. That is the biggest danger. Ravagers are not the danger. Queens are not really the danger. The danger is if he goes Viper, Corruptor, Infestor. Those are the units that actually kill your army. Ravagers do not kill your army unless you are asleep at the wheel.
Well,
Like,
technically, I did not see
That field's been mined
a
out.
spire.
Hope you have an
okay, it's been 14 and a half minutes. You have the entire tech tree and 30 cannons. So, if you didn't see a third base for 6 minutes. So, I wouldn't trust your eyes too much. Also, another important point here. Okay. Wait, what am I looking for? Oh, you didn't see the spire. I was ready to say you did, but no. It's in his main. You can assume he has 3 spires at this point. Like, I would have had multiple. If I was in the Zerg's position, you have 2 3 spires. 1 for Broodlords and the other 2 for upgrade.
Mineral field depleted.
So, Disruptor's feeling better than High Templar now?
Well, if there's Vipers, it's not.
That field's been mined out. Hope you have an expansion.
So is that a no?
No.
Oh, well, now you're inspired. There's our High Templar.
The High Templar.
You're engaging the opponent. Time to raise your APM.
Nice to okay, so that recall is
Our forces are
okay.
under attack.
Yeah. Don't do that. Like, do not recall half your army and then just A-click the rest home. That is how you actually lose these units to Ravagers. Oh my god. Do you see this
That-
abduct?
What? No.
Look
a bug.
outside your 4th.
I don't see it.
It looks crazy to me.
I don't see it.
I think it's like
probably a
it's a
bug.
unit that got like it's definitely a visual bug, but it looks hilarious. He's abducting the map. Yes, he's dragging the map a few feet to the left. But so is recalling faster than just flying there back to your base? Can you say with 100% confidence that it is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. The carriers are slow.
You know that air units can stack up while they're flying, right?
Yeah, that.
So that is
But I also need to like recall to that base, so it's hard.
Your forces are under attack.
just fly home. When you use the recall, a probably better player will now know that you can't just move out safely anymore. And I think you mentioned like you actually managed to lose your Sky Toss army, and I wonder why.
Well,
Raise your APM.
this is a part of it. It's only a part of it.
Yes, you were kind enough to split it into 2 bite-sized parts for him.
Our forces are
I think he
under
canceled the warping, which is actually good for you.
Yeah.
You keep building disruptors.
damage.
Like, that's a unit. Thankfully, he's also flying. Every unit that doesn't have a water balloon is dying horribly because neither of you are able to manage nearly this many spellcasters at once.
Oh
So-
no, my disruptors are alive, except the ones abducted.
Except for the... At some point, you had, like, 6 disruptors. And
Well,
now
he
you have
abduct-
2. He abducted
abducted.
them. Well, his Vipers are gone now, too.
Oh, that's bad for him.
Cool.
He's building 7 more.
That team guys are exhausted.
Well, you know it's good.
The fact that you looked at what just happened there, him throwing away his roaches, and you're like, I need disruptors. That's the problem. It's very obvious, like you saw the roaches and you started building more disruptors. No, he doesn't want any more roaches. He's not building any more roaches. He wanted to lose those roaches so he could build vipers. So when you're going to be out here with like half a dozen disruptors against vipers, well, the same thing's going to happen again. So... like, you gotta think past what's happening in front of your eyes. Like, into what he's going to build. You think he's gonna build more roaches after that? Is that what... Or was it just a reaction?
I don't think I think at all.
I'm glad we're on the same page. Alright. Don't counter what's on the screen. Counter what... he is going to build. and he's going to build things to counter carriers. I will tell you now, from a Zerg perspective, the last 10 minutes have been how do I deal with Sky Toss, not how do I make my roaches do more damage. And he's credit to him, he's putting a lot of effort into it, and he's really committed to the static defense.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
So how do you end the game? Is probably an important question. The answer for you is to build the right army and win a war of attrition, because unless you actually push. What?
I mean, like, the only option is to mine out.
To what?
Mine out the map.
Your alt?
Mine. Oh, why?
Mine out.
Mine. Yes, mine, not mine. Mine.
Okay. Yes. Okay, not Mayans. That's a different game.
And not Widow Mines.
Not Widow Mines. Not Widow Mines. All right, I'm glad we narrowed it down. So, this is a very important moment. This will tell us if you are capable of thinking any amount of time into the future. You're about to lose a lot of stalkers, just like he lost his roaches, which is more expensive, but a similar thing, right? Like, you're just getting rid of the stalkers mostly. You see a whole lot of Vipers there. That's more Vipers than almost you'll ever see at one time. What do you think you will do? Like, knowing you, what do you do? What do you build next?
Oh, well, if I have a brain, that would be High Templars, but probably more carriers.
I think you're going to warp in more stalkers. You're going to... Wait, you don't have Blink. You're going to get Blink, and I think you're going to warp in more stalkers. Oh my god. Neither of us gave you enough credit. Alright?
Okay.
There you go. I don't... Okay. Obviously, this is a very... That's fine. Like, controlling High Templar, Disruptor with Oracles... You know what's more valuable than all of those Disruptors right now? Is 1 Sentry. 1 Sentry will do more for you than all of those Disruptors. 1 Guardian Shield. It blocks 2 damage from every ranged attack. So if he has, let's say hypothetically, 35 Hydras, which is just a number I'm coming up with. 35 Hydras. Each of those Hydras attacks almost twice a second. So, if 35 Hydras attack twice a second, it's reducing 4 damage per Hydra per second. Okay, alright. So...
Wait, why it's 4?
Because 2 attacks.
Hydra... What? I thought
if they attack twice in a second... No, but they attack 1 time, and then they attack another time.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so in that 1.2 seconds, from 1 Hydra, the Guardian Shield has reduced 4 damage. Now multiply that by however many Hydras there are.
Well, that's like 2 storms.
It's... Guardian Shield is very important, and if you don't have Guardian Shield and you lose fights, that's the easiest thing to fix that most people struggle with because they're too busy trying to hit Disruptor shots. You kill 8 Hydras, it still doesn't reduce damage as much as 1 Guardian Shield would, or less price.
I think that's also why I, like, at the beginning I didn't build High Templars, because I have Disruptors and I don't want to control both of them.
Well then, cut out the Disruptors. The Disruptors are only there to make you feel like you're doing something useful, but 90% of the time, even in pro games, Disruptors are not the deciding factor. They're either a Hail Mary or only work when anything else would have worked as well. Like, it's only like 1 in 10 Disruptor hits that actually changes a game from the direction it's already going. The way you have your control group set up is pretty good. It's a lot.
Well, it's really a lot.
It is a lot. This is why... So, the key like having a sentry on the same control group as the Templar, you could tab to the sentry, Guardian Shield, and then reselect the group, and you still have the Guardian Shield. Because that way it'll go back to the High Templar. That's usually how I'll do it with these armies. Yeah.
Mineral field depleted.
Ooh. Like, you're holding it together. And like,
Upgrade complete.
honestly, both of you, this is one of the most late game. Now, higher level players would never have gotten to this point. They would have tried to kill each other way earlier, obviously. This is kind of like in a vacuum, we have late game armies. But I am impressed by both of you getting to this point and controlling these armies. It's a lot.
That mineral field's gone.
It isn't perfect, but it is. It's not bad.
Get stronger.
And you're winning on that. Well, a well-controlled Sky Toss army against a mediocrely controlled Zerg army. He's building 31 Corruptors and Ricky now. All right.
Hope you have an expansion. Your forces are under attack. Mineral field depleted.
I think this is when like I think I should be winning, but like after seeing the spores, it's
You
like,
are
ugh.
winning. You killed his base. You denied him that base. You can pull back and now take your base on the same area on your side. You don't have to push through to win
Mineral field
in a fight like that. You just have to deny mining.
the enemy.
This is where having a few Archons in the mix would also be very helpful.
That field's been mined
Yeah.
out. Our forces are under attack.
Remember that ideal army. How many... So what do we got in there? You have 3 Stalkers. I think we cut out the Adepts. The Stalkers are still kind of hiding out. The 5 Disruptors. I mean, Disruptors are one way to break static defense, so... Honestly, most of my problems were up until this point. The unit... All you can do now is decide where to attack and exactly what your unit composition is made out of.
Empty.
And it's most of the way there.
Cold gas.
You definitely could have been here faster and more efficiently, but like, otherwise,
probably minutes faster.
yeah, about 10 minutes would be.
No, 12. You
12?
can get this in 12.
12 is pushing it.
Mineral field.
Getting carriers with... Why are you
Yeah,
getting
so, like-
extended... Stop getting upgrades just because you haven't gotten them. All right? Like,
I have like a 10,000 minerals.
yeah, but... Oh my god.
Depleted.
Are you going to make any Colossi?
That mineral field's
Probably
gone.
not.
Looks like we're going to the late game. That field's been mined out.
So you see a fleet of Corruptors.
Hope you have an expansion.
What does that say to you?
Exhausted. Mineral field depleted.
I probably only see the spores.
You saw the Corruptors on that last fight.
I mean, like, on my mind, it's all the spores.
Damage. Terrible, terrible
This is
damage.
actually a battle. No, this is... No. If he goes Mass Corruptor, you know what you do? You go back to
mean-
ground.
Yeah, that's what I'm...
Wow, this is
thinking.
this is
I don't have
actually
enough-
very good spellcasting from both sides. I'm both impressed, surprised, and concerned. I guess neither of you really do very well in shorter games, but like both of you are doing pretty close to the best you could with these armies. Like, you just don't have the ability to zone out well enough because you don't have Archons and Void Rays. And he doesn't have the ability to actually chase you because he has Mass Corruptor.
Stronger. Upgrade research is done.
Okay,
That
so
was
this is
the
a
aim
wrong
for
call.
years. Face it.
What?
Chasing
Moving your
something.
whole army? Yeah.
That mineral field's gone.
Yeah, it looks like you kind of lost track of everything, and now... Honestly, though, like, losing a Nexus that's 400 minerals, like, whatever. You're the one who's building extended thermal lands for the Colossi you're never gonna build, and I gotta... Losing all the Templar was the issue here.
I mean, he brought like 10 overlords for sandbagging.
It doesn't work like that. your units
Oh,
will
it's
attack
50.
enemy units. Like,
Right, it should be over. I mean, sandbagging for the feedback. But,
if you feedback anything, well, you really should be storming in these scenarios. The Vipers are no longer the issue. The issue is 30-something corruptors. Okay, I want you to look at the money right now. Okay, think about how this
I
game
have
ends.
no way to spend it.
You have only 9 gateways and 3 stargates, which is you have about 1/3 as many of any production facility as you need. There's no reason not to have 9 stargates, like 6 robos, like 25 gates. 27 seems like too much, but 25 is just right. Like 1 page of gateways.
Well, that's like 50 supply zealot working.
And how much does that cost?
2.5K. Is that right?
And how much do you have?
Well, I can only do 4 of those. Not a lot.
He has 800 minerals left. If you actually press the... So right now, if you deny his bases, there's no like zealots. If you actually got your, I don't know why you were stingy with your forges. You only have 1 forge. You need to build more everything, not just regular gates. Like here 8 Stargate, 4 Robo, 20 gates. All right, that is the minimum for this kind of game. Because right now, if you send 20 with +3, you have +0. You've been walking around with stalkers that have the squirt guns they started with. You have +0 stalkers. It's very sad. They have a lot of armor, so that way they can see how little damage they're doing. So, like, 20 zealots in, like, his third, well, towards his main. You know the classic warp prism in his main? Would that be such a bad idea right now for those 20 zealots? Like, undercutting. If you reset his tech tree right now, he doesn't have the money to rebuild it. And it would cost you a couple thousand minerals, maybe. So, on top of getting him out of position. But the answer to many things for Protoss problems is solved by Warp Prism in their main. And this is no exception. Also, you still don't have Blink for your very sad, heavily armored stock. You looked at all this, and you're like, well, what I need is 2 more Robos. Of all the things, it was the Robos? You're like, this is to counter the spores.
Well, you say going ground, so this is going ground.
Mineral field depleted.
Yes, it is.
Did us.
You still haven't gotten any weapons upgrades, which is just completely unacceptable. Like, that is not a small mistake. That's a game-losing mistake.
How did the Zerg just get 7 oversupplies?
He spore cancel.
Oh god. What a gamer.
You're the one sitting there, building 20 cannons and 0 weapons upgrades. Like, I think he's maxed out on... He actually has no air upgrades, so you're...
Field's gone. Looks like we're
Did you know that? His corruptors were unupgraded?
No, I didn't check.
That means your Void Rays would trade insanely well against those. Of course, he has Hydras. Yeah.
That's bad.
Did you know you had no weapons upgrades?
No, I don't know either.
Oh, now you do. No, you already have the rest of the upgrades. You literally can't use more forges. I like the idea, though. You're like, oh, shit. I need more upgrades, but that's not how it works. You can't outsource this. I like how you panic so hard you built another forge. You literally can't. You have +3 shields. Oh,
Well,
wait,
I
you don't
guess
have ground armor. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
You have +3 air armor and +0 on the ground. Wow. You know what? Also, why there? You know what? I'm not gonna question it. I don't. This.
Wait, where?
You just hit the idle probe button and built it wherever was close. That's what happened with the I like how we can see your thought process so clearly, though. When it does exist. What happened to Templar? Did we give up on that idea?
Well,
Well, there you go.
Lurkers. Scary, I don't know.
field depleted.
He's got 218 supply. What a gamer. All right, at 207, I didn't agree with saying, like, what a gamer. But now I agree. Okay, 218 is a lot. That's a lot of effort.
There's also a lot of lurkers. Well,
Yeah,
29.
he only has
Oh,
45. At this point, you have too many probes, is part of the problem. You can't mine with 80 probes anymore. Oh my god. Oh, that is a lot of lurkers. Oh, wow. Yeah. And I think you just had a panic attack when all those lurkers showed up. Would that be an accurate assessment?
I mean, I thought he had like 500,000 corruptors. He should have no supply for ground armies.
That's
so I built a bunch of ground.
500,000 would put him over supply, yes, but he did have 30, which is only 60 supply. So
Well, he probably already lost like 20. I don't know.
he still has 27. But like, even if he had 50 corruptors, he still could have like 20 lurkers without being completely broke. Yeah, you lost everything before casting any spells. It just kind of died. So like, here's the thing. The game isn't over, but I don't think like you need to stop panicking now. I'm saying like generally, I'm saying like at this moment. Because obviously this isn't doing it. Like yeah, I think what happened is you looked at your bank, you're like, well, I guess. And now we're doing, like, this is when the Warp Prism in the main would be very, very, very valuable. It's not like you don't have enough robos for it, anyway.
Base is under attack. Your warriors have engaged the enemy. This upgrade makes your...
Yeah, we're still sitting on +1 attack with +0 armor on these units. You're very scared of spines. You know, like, you might not have the weapons upgrades, but I wouldn't be surprised if one zealot beats a spine with the +3 shields. Like, spines are not very good.
Oh, what's the attack on spine?
It doesn't matter.
Well, 25,
does.
that's a lot.
25. What's the attack on zealots? Zealots do 18 with +1.
Oh, they have two.
Zealots attack twice, and they probably have a faster attack speed. Their attack speed is 0.86. The spines are 1.32. Zealots have more DPS than spines do. With no upgrades. And you can't upgrade spines, which is kind of BS in my opinion, but they should get melee attack upgrades.
Well, I always think of that in campaigns.
Mineral field depleted. That mineral field's gone.
Yeah, you kind of forgot about the weapon upgrades are kind of a big deal. Not kind of a big deal. They are game breaking right now for you. Part of the reason you didn't break the lurkers are because he has +3 carapace. Like, you weren't doing any damage without spells, really.
That field's been mined out. Hope you have an expansion.
Yeah, oracles are required. He's not gonna let corruptors live.
Mineral field depleted.
I mean, he's not gonna let observers live. What a game. I mean, you see, like, at least 25 times you could have made dramatically better decisions, I assume.
They're attacking
Like,
the base, you know.
but, like,
Engaging the opponent.
until you decided to go back into the ground army. I'm not saying the ground army was a bad idea, but until you decided to go back into the ground army, I thought it was going okay for what it was. Like, your Skytoss control wasn't bad.
Hope you have an expansion.
And actually, I think if you had remade a carrier fleet with some High Templar, that would have been the play. Not Immortal Zealot. Because lurkers do win in the late game. Like, lurkers, that's why you go Skytoss. That's why pro games go to Skytoss, because lurkers win eventually. It's just you're kind of forced into carriers if they get enough lurkers.
Geyser's empty. If only this
Lurkers are just a better ground unit than Protoss has.
gold gas.
At a critical mass.
Damage. Terrible damage.
Even Immortals don't do enough, because Immortals just don't have the range.
Looks like we're going to the late game.
It's 3 minutes of testing right now.
You know.
Yeah, now you've wasted all your money.
Your forces are under attack. Your warrior
Stalkers definitely do worse. against spines. Spines do extra to armored.
That one. Upgrade complete.
I don't know that one.
Your
What?
forces are taking damage.
Oh,
Lasers
God.
and hail
Also,
damage.
Stalkers toss gas.
Your base
Not
is
that
under
that's
attack.
really a huge deal.
Stay cool.
Yeah, this was the play that needed to be made like 5,000 minerals ago. When you're struggling to find the money for +2 armor, something's gone wrong.
You're engaging the opponent. Time to
Oh,
raise
no.
your APM. Base is under attack.
Well, that was convenient.
Upgrades done.
Yeah, the warp prism in the main.
Your forces are under attack.
You're still making a game of it here. Oh my god. They're very scary. Oh, it's a little late to recall.
You're engaging the opponent. Time to raise your APM.
Yeah. Game has ended 10 minutes ago.
Your base is under attack. Stay cool.
When he finally discovered Broodlords as you killed his greater spire. Yeah. Well, the summary, the short version is Warp Prism in the main. The long version is Trust Your Army. The medium version is maybe actually build an army before mass cannon.
Base is under attack. Best beam guys are exhausted.
Like, there are so many.
Mineral field
You are the best and worst type of diamond player. The type of player who could be masters if their play wasn't Swiss cheese. Like, your late game control, when you had the army, probably better than mine. Straight up. But, then you lost the army and went into unupgraded zealots. Like, and that army, it took you 5+ minutes longer than it would have taken me. So, like, you'll hit the Zerg players who just try to kill you, and you might be fine because then they walk into the cannons you have for some reason. Or you might not, because they just know how to deny your fourth, and then you never get a fourth, and then... Because he was on 5 bases, he could have sat outside your third and denied a fourth indefinitely. He just decided to sit in his base.
Right.
Yeah, like if I was the Zerg, and that Zergling attack had gone as well as it did, what I'd do is get 66 drones, and then just spam
Queen
like Hydra Viper,
Oh.
and
Oh, I
well,
thought you were
no, I
Queen
would
Walk.
have either Queen Walk. You wouldn't need to Queen Walk though, because you have a perfectly good economy and they're building cannons. So just like Hydra Viper and any carriers or whatever they have, just pull it out. So like, you had a lot of good ideas and a lot of very not good ideas. And those ideas were the ones that you came up with on the spot
They're attacking your base
without
below.
thinking as a reaction.
Mineral field gone. Looks like we're
Like,
going to the late game.
I think an obvious one was like warping in stalkers for the roach counterattack and then microing them in any extent. Like, stuff like that happens too much. Of course, you say you're 4-gating now, but like, there's potential there. And that's not just nice, coach. Like, that was actually legitimately impressive late game control from both sides. It's just the late game started like 8 minutes late. Which is
Well,
a little ironic, yes, but
That's late game.
that's too late game. It's far too late game. Okay, well,
Alright.
that took a long time. Let's
Give
look at
me,
the other one.
2 minutes.
Okay. Alright. Do Thor's counter lurkers? Not really. But Thor's counter everything, but also not really. So that was... I mean... That's the replay you wanted me to look at. So... We did. Though, like every single one... like every single one of the non-like Masters Plus games, not every game could be decided. Not every game can be decided in the first 5 minutes, or not every game is decided in the first 5 minutes, but most of them could be. And in that case, at a higher level, either the Zerg or the Protoss, like, as the Zerg player, you're so far ahead. If they hard wall off, they get supply blocked, they don't have extra units, like it's just a huge lead. But the Zerg was content to sit back and play Creep Spread Simulator until the late game, so... Yeah, that replay was so long, Bob's taking a break. Technically, that was an hour, but we're going to look at another one real quick. Is what we're doing once he lives. It was a little scary how good the control was from both sides, though.
I guess there are two options now. First one is to look at the mediocre versus Terran game. The others maybe like Archon or something.
Let's look at the mediocre game.
Well, it's very mediocre.
But at least it was within the last 2 weeks.
Well, it's a good game for Bronze League Hero, probably. I don't know.
Probably not. It's probably just mediocre, but we will see.
Well, I do have a Bronze League Hero Warsy game, but that's a Terran game, not a Protoss.
Oh my god, I think we have enough Terrans.
Well, that's just typical Terrans.
Did you float your buildings?
Did I? I forgot. Probably.
How do you know any of these things if you can't remember them?
Well, I just remember I'm a Terran, and it's very, very funny.
And now you've just described approximately 2/3 of every single Bronze League Heroes email. There you go. All right, tell me about this game.
I think I forgot my second pylon.
Oh my god.
And then...
This game is 35 minutes, but we're not doing 35 minutes this time. Like, you can't forget your second pylon. Like, you can't. I've been over this, I think. But, like, if you lose 15% of games or you get behind because you can't build your second pylon on time, you're just going to be diamond forever. That is just an unacceptable level of mistake. I mean, you can try to balance it out with, like your late game control is very good, but you're never going to get to it consistently if you die or your mid game is where you lose most of the games. All right. So, also, about that memory loss.
Okay, so that's an early pylon, not a...
Did you lose your scouting probe?
Yeah.
Let's try to avoid that. That pylon's perfectly on time. That is a correctly timed pylon. It's just you didn't get a nexus because he's blocking it. Which the usual play is to just bring a second probe with you. So he doesn't do exactly this. No, that's too many probes. That NG Bay only has like 20 HP. Honestly, 3 probes max. This is you're already digging yourself into an economic hole here.
Alright. I thought... Okay, well...
No. He can't add any more HP to it. Like, you killed the SCV. So, if it was like half HP, then maybe...
Well, this is the reaction to Proxy Hatch. 6 probes.
Yes. That was not a hatchery. It was an NG Bay. So, why no Warp Gate?
Because there's a hatch block and I'm panicking.
It's an engineering bay. But the
Fine,
panicking part, I guess, is accurate. It does... I do believe you on the panic.
Okay, so that's a Stargate because
But-
I'm waiting for something.
That is what you've convinced yourself of, yes. But yeah, like, you need to be able to get to 2.5 minutes without there being obvious panic. Like, he scouted with an SCV and tried to block your nexus. This is not... This is like every other game. So, alright. There you go. There's a Stargate. fine, Stargate. I mean, I don't know. Did you wall in your probe? No, don't. No. Bob. 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 You can't do this, Bob. This is no. Like, just kill the probe. Take the probe. Build a stalker and kill the probe. Put it out of shield battery range. Like, it is. You just lost any excuse you had for not getting warp gate. Like, also, like, you gotta see that coming as well. Bob. Bob. This is not Masters level play.
Well, obviously it's not.
These are the, like, you can't, this is not, you can't do that. Like, you need to, like, 3 minutes without hurting yourself more than your opponent ever could. So we gotta aim for that.
Well,
yeah, maybe it could have gotten across in time, whatever. Okay. Alright. So you don't know what he has back there, but you know he doesn't have a factory next to it. What are you doing there?
Your base is under attack.
Yeah, so at least your Nexus is finishing, I guess. Here.
and I'm
No.
supply blocked because of that Nexus.
Well, it's finishing in time. On the bright side, since you didn't get your Stargate in a timely manner, you weren't as supply blocked. So, if your Stargate had been on time, you would have been supply blocked for longer. So, that's a plus. And now you
Yeah.
don't need 2 more pylons, because what you do need is another gate or 2, because he has a reactored barracks, and it probably doesn't end there. That's where that money could go instead of additional pylons for the supply block you've already dealt with. So you're building a Phoenix. Tell me about that.
Well, more Phoenix after that,
Yes, okay.
and then Phoenix Colossus, or maybe even just Phoenix Charge. I don't know.
Okay, so why not 1 Oracle? Do you trust
Well-
your Phoenix micro that much?
My Oracle micro is pretty bad. Like if it's not for scouting,
Well, it is for scouting, though. That's
well, I
my
can scout
point.
with
You can
Phoenix.
scout with the Phoenix. That's fair. All right. Or just the Adept works, too. So that's a second barracks. No. The first thing you should be reacting to is the fact he has more than 1 barracks. So how are we going to react to that?
I have Phoenix, so
Phoenix
no.
don't counter Marines. You know that.
Warriors.
That's a Surge Rex. Okay, fine.
He has 1 gas total. You know that. So he can't be building anything but maybe like maybe he could get a medevac or 2, but it's Marines. He's building a lot of Marines.
Well, I cannot force him into it because I stayed on his.
No, he
natural.
built those barracks well before any sort of adept shenanigans. He has those barracks are done with add-ons. Like, the adepts have nothing to do with it.
These are just
And even if
add-ons.
they did,
That one's been in
like,
for years.
how are we going to react? You know, like, I want to make it clear, because he's not going to do it. But what he should be doing is walking across and winning the game when Stim and Combat Shield finish. Because you could have a maximum of, like, 4 Phoenixes and, like, 3 Gateway units. And he can have, like, 20 Marines with Stim and Combat Shield. Which win the game, just to be clear. He's doing a game-winning build. I know he doesn't. I very much know he doesn't. But I just want to be clear, like, you seem to have an aversion to sentries. So you know, like, how Guardian Shield is good against Hydras? It's even better against Marines. Like, the first thing you should warp in if you have the gas is a sentry, because you need to build up that energy. Stalkers are not getting you out of this situation, but a Guardian Shield or a couple Force Fields might. Then again, like, you are at the level and you can just kind of ignore your opponent and focus on your build. The only problem with that, I think, is that you don't have a build. So, would you say that's an accurate assessment?
Well, I have some general ideas.
Well, this isn't not even a storyboard. This isn't like I don't know. Whatever a description could be.
I have one build, that DT build.
Is this the build? This is not that build. So you're just kind of throwing things out there.
Because the DT build is the only build that I know is a build.
All right. So you dealt with it pretty well there. You did not have nearly as many Marines as I thought, and the shield battery overcharge helped out.
Your forces are under attack.
So this is another, like, the Phoenixes aren't it. When you defended the first attack, that was when the Phoenixes peaked. Okay? That was the best they were ever going to do.
Against tanks?
Against
They're
tanks. There are no tanks.
Well, there will be.
No, there won't. Look at it. Go to the everyone cam and tell me where he's going to build the tanks from. What about the bio army with Metavex? You're getting away with Phoenixes, but I'm telling you, you shouldn't. Just because they work doesn't mean they should. You have a Robo. You have gas. This could go in. You're building an Oracle for some reason queued up after a Phoenix. Did you know an Oracle costs the same amount as a Robo Bay?
Yeah.
So why is there an Oracle queued up instead of a Robo Bay?
Good question.
Thank you. That's why I'm here. Like, your first priority after defending the first attack should be getting splash damage, because the only thing you're vulnerable to now. Okay, right then. Alright. Versus Terran. Splash damage after first attack / getting third. Because you're just asking to die. Like, once again, he might not send enough, and your Phoenixes might barely be enough. Having 2 extra Phoenixes to barely defend is no substitute for 1 Colossus.
That field's been mined out.
Like, a Colossus can kill more Marines in 1 swipe than all of your Phoenixes can. Just combined.
Right.
Like, you're over here building cannons when you just finished up 6 gates. This is not a good investment. Also, you need to build... If I see another replay where you don't build a sentry before 100 supply, that would be probably the largest thing you could do to have something resembling a solid army that doesn't feel cobbled together in some drunken haze. Because that's what your armies feel like. It feels like you've just kind of come up with some ideas and then you're like, well, here's what I got. It's like, oh, just don't engage him, all right? He's been theory crafting again. Okay.
That's Protoss.
Yes, it is. Some of us have Protoss in our very own families, and we're trying to be accepting of them. But here we are. So one of those tanks showing up.
That mineral field's gone. Looks like we're going to the late game.
You're getting so much mileage out of these Phoenixes that you have no right to. I mean, you're doing what? The thing is, there's no reason you couldn't have done all that and gotten Colossi quicker. It's just like, you'll forget what you're doing and then go, okay, I guess cannons. Like, like, you could add all this production on while still adding Phoenixes and stuff. Like, for example, you could have just not queued up an Oracle, built a Robo Bay, and by the time your Phoenix finished, you could have built an Oracle. Like, it was just the fact that the priority obviously wasn't there.
Upgrades done.
But yeah, the biggest value you could get is 1 sentry. Usually 2 or 3 is what people build, just like, so they aren't relying entirely on 1 sentry, but... Like, You're building so many. You're like intentionally building the only army that actually dies. This is the most brittle army a Protoss can possibly have. You've got Stalker Phoenix with no blink. Like, I'll warp it in some zealots now. Like, that's, you know what? I'm starting to look at my army and think, maybe it's not going to be quite enough. On the bright side, Widow Mines are a good contribution to the army, so.
Good splash, good splash.
There's your splash damage. You know what? I guess I didn't have faith. I always have faith in Widow Mines. Did you need 10 Phoenixes to do that? Maybe not, but... Did you get extended thermal lance? How many Colossi do you think you have right now?
Oh, a little bit less than 1.
A little bit less than 1. I would agree with that statement. That's accurate.
Our forces are under attack. Mineral
Unfortunately, without Widow Mines in your army, it does struggle.
depleted. You're
Yeah,
engaging
if
the
Protoss
opponent.
is Widowmine, I will be winning a lot of games.
Yeah. That's how we finally make it fair. Terran's been winning too much. Protoss should also get Widow Mines.
That field's been mined out. Hope you have an expansion.
Yeah, most of my complaints at this point, like, look at the supply. Do you think this game should go 35 minutes?
No.
If you just built any units that would kill your opponent, as opposed to everything you're building, what army do I tell people to build?
4 Archons, 4 Colossus, and then a bunch of Zealots.
Do I say Colossus?
I don't know, you say Colossus are
I say Immortals.
right. But
What do you mean? What are you
Okay.
arguing with me?
I'm
What a-
thinking, where's the splash?
The Archons.
Well, how is it there not enough?
It's not enough. You're building Stalkers.
That's true.
Like, if you took any part of that, you have no charge. You built one Immortal, I think, like, on accident.
That mineral
That
field's
should be a
gone.
Colossus.
It should be a Colossus.
Looks like we're going to the late game.
Are those sentries? Oh my god. So we're gonna try to cut down the sentry time from 11 minutes to, like, 5. Alright. There's our Colossus quota for the day.
Base under attack complete.
How many gates do you have? Don't look. Guess how many gates.
7.
Did you look?
No?
Oh,
Because I know
well,
I
it
have
is 7.
6.
Well, that's not
And then-
nearly enough. You have 88 probes. You are currently raking in 3,000 minerals a minute, mostly because the probes aren't very... Well, I guess they're well enough distributed. Yeah, you need, like... This is when you get either go win the game right now, or you build another dozen gateways. Like... or, like, 3 more robos. Bob. Even if microing Phoenixes was anywhere close to valuable at this point, is this how you imagined your Phoenixes would work?
I'm giving them away.
Oh, you're giving them away, are you?
Yeah.
So you're not going to build any more Phoenixes?
Probably.
Well, unfortunately, those Phoenixes no longer have any value in, like, anti-air, so good thing we got rid of that useless supply.
Your base is under attack. Your warriors have engaged the enemy. They're attacking your base, you know. Upgrade complete.
Bob. Do you know what a planetary fortress is?
Well, it's a.
You keep sending out these, like, you are like trying to check a diversity quota in strategies on each of these games. Because last game, the one from 2 weeks ago, another late game, you remember. It wasn't too long ago we looked at it. You did the exact same thing. You're like, look, I'm counterattacking. And that was it. That was your counterattack into massive static defense. And I think you're doing the same thing this game. You're like, look, I warped in some zealots and I queued them up. Like, you already know it's a planetary. But you have queued up a zealot counterattack directly into it.
Oh, zealots are good.
We both know that's not what you were thinking when you did that, Bob. We both know you weren't thinking at all. All right? Because it's just what you do at this stage of the game.
Your forces are taking.
So, do you like having upgrades or Storm or Templar? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Where is possibly the most vulnerable part of your base? The least likely to be defended. This is not a trick question.
Either my 4th or my 5th. I don't know. One of them.
No, your army is probably going to be on the ground near your bases. You know where it's pretty far from? The edge of your main. So of all the places to put your Templar archives and your forges, the edge of your main should be pretty low on the list.
Damage. Terrible.
Well, they're convenient.
Oh, those zealots didn't go great. Probably because, like, the point of a zealot counterattack is not to do a zealot counterattack. Because it's not a counterattack if you're not attacking. It's just an attack. Like, so you just attacked with, like, 7 zealots, which were 14 minutes in the game, so that didn't do anything. But when you just don't do anything else and you send the zealots out, unless your opponent has gone AFK, he will see the zealots and then he will kill them because there's nothing else happening. Does this make sense?
Right.
So the reason you send out a zealot counterattack is to draw him out of position, either from your main attack or to do damage because he's out of position with your main attack. When you just send 7 zealots in, they just die. So, do you have anything to say to those zealots' families?
They have no families.
Okay, well, not with you at the helm. I don't. Oh, there you go. Adding the gates. You chrono boosted Storm and then warped it. Oh, do you have anything to say to these zealots' families, Bob?
They are the brothers to the last 7.
I thought they didn't have families.
Extended families, maybe.
Oh, they're brothers?
I don't know.
Ah, you can't even back up your excuses. So why would this zealot attack do any damage?
Well, in case a Terran is stupid.
I guess that's a good thing to have in mind.
Mineral field depleted.
Bob, what's wrong with your natural? Is there something wrong with your natural?
Well, it's mining out.
Yes, so that means there's extra space to put buildings. As opposed to having all of your, like, do your Templar, they have to be at the fringes, all right? They're not accepted in polite society. You have a dark shrine at the very top corner of the map, and your Templar archives is right at the edge of your main. What is this? I'm going to say, accept Templar for who they are. It's only natural. And if that doesn't make sense to you, nothing will. No, build all Templar-related things at your natural, just in general. You know what? And your forges too, but that one is going to be harder to break. High Templar are pretty snooty, I will say, yes.
My dad always researches that one.
Okay, so
Gate is under attack.
he does attack. This is when a zealot attack might do damage, so.
That mineral field's gone. Looks like we're going to the late game.
Unfortunately, it was a decoy sensor tower. So this is how zealot counterattacks are actually supposed to work. Like, now you're attacking, and then the zealots are coming in from the other side.
Our forces are under
Now,
attack.
was this how you planned it?
That mineral field's gone.
It worked out.
Looks like we're going
All
to
right,
the late
it worked out, right? Well, and then this.
It does not work out.
I think you tried much too hard to make that work.
That field's
Remember,
been
you have
mined out.
Protoss units.
Won't be
Just
of
let
any
them go. All right. What? Okay. Explain to me the carrier transition here.
Your base is under
He's been building Ghost Viking Bio.
Geyser's empty. If only this game had gold gas.
I should do disruptors then.
Whatever happened to Colossi?
Well, Vikings.
Oh, so carriers are better.
Uh,
Immortals?
Vespine Geyser exhausted.
Carriers can fight back against Vikings.
You have 0-0 on your carriers. You have this, like, all your units need upgrades if you're gonna play this. Oh my god, I said this wouldn't be another same amount of time, but here we are.
Depleted.
Like I said, Swiss cheese gameplay, Bob. Okay? Not regular cheese, though you have plenty of that. Swiss cheese is your macro game. Like, you've got so many good things happening, but also then you decide that Stalker Phoenix is your unit composition, and you're not parting. I know you want to be, who doesn't? I mean, I don't think it'd actually be that fun. Like, that seems a little insane, but it'd be fun to be parting for like a week. Like, either way, but you're not parting, believe it or not. So,
They're attacking your
that's
base
where
now.
that's where we are now.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
That's a lot of units. How many gates are we at? 10 gates, which is approximately 1/2 of the gates you should have.
You're engaging the opponent.
So this is why you don't build sentries. Right. This situation. This is when Guardian Shield and Force Field are kind of important.
I'm dangerous,
Guardian Shield can't get EMP'd. Like, if you trigger it before the battle, it still goes off, even if it gets EMP'd.
Complete.
Important to note. So, you fought that army. You lost. And you decided that 10 more Stalkers were the ticket.
Huh.
Does that seem like the ticket to you?
Damage. Stay cool. Terrible damage.
It's no. It's a no. It's a Zealots are the answer. Zealots and Archons. And 10 more gates. So you can actually build... That was a very optimistic recall.
Your forces are under mineral field. This upgrade makes your units that mineral field's gone. Looks like we're going to the lake. Your forces are taking damage. Terrible, terrible damage. Vespine Geyser exhausted. Your warriors have engaged the enemy.
Disruptor Carrier is, you built quite an expensive army. Oh my god.
Stop. That field's been
But, even though you did so much damage with the Ruptors, look at the supply.
You're engaging the opponent. Base under
I
attack.
have no idea.
Disruptors are there to make you feel like you're doing damage. Remember, a disruptor costs more, like, it costs as much gas as 6 Marauders.
Field depleted. Upgrade complete.
Marauders are broken.
That field's been mined out.
Not against Zealots. A Zealot can easily beat a Marauder in 1v1. Even with poorer upgrades.
What about the big,
Upgrade's done. To what's up?
like, ball of Marauders?
Well, it depends on how many Zealots you have. In equal numbers, even with medevac, Zealots almost always win. Zealots have base armor. And charge. Well, they should have charge. Do you have charge? You have charge. You keep warping in Stalkers like that's going to be the answer. And that's why you have no gas and you're losing every fight.
That mineral field's gone.
The answer was Immortal Archon charge lot. The answer was
thought-
what I've said in every single guide.
Our base is under
I thought the answer to Marauders are, like,
It's
disruptors.
Zealots. The answer is Zealots. And then if he gets too much, it's Immortal Archon Zealot. And if he's getting real fancy, maybe you add some Colossi or Storms in. But the answer is not Disruptor Carrier.
Because, like, at my level, like, a bunch of Terrans, and they're just doing mass Marauders.
Well then... remember when you were ahead 45 supply, Bob? remember
Wow.
what happened? And now let's look at the units. You lost 7. I'm going back. I don't care what happens from this point. Let's go back to when you surprisingly defended, by the way, with Phoenix like that's when things could have gone very right for you.
Copy of an expansion.
Like you actually did very well with Phoenixes because of his Widow Mines.
This upgrade makes your unit stronger.
Okay, remember this moment.
Right?
Mineral field depleted.
Give it a moment. All right, you just warp in another round of units. You're up 142 to 100 supply. You got +2 on the way. You got a Colossus on the way. You got 4 bases. You have 30 more workers. If you right now slap down up to 12 gates, another Robo, and keep warping in Zealots, you walk across and you win the game. Because what is his army right now? His army is a dozen Marines and Marauders and a couple Medevacs.
I don't know what his army is, so that's a problem.
Yes, you do! You saw him run away, and also you have an observer over it. What do you mean you don't know what his army is? What else
that
could he
looks-
be building?
Mind out.
That looks scary.
Now I have
Well, that's why you build Colossi.
Chug just chilling for 71
He doesn't have any
months.
Vikings at this point. He doesn't have any Medevacs because you killed them with your Phoenixes. Good job. This is when you build the army that can kill him, not the army that counters some hypothetical in your mind that's going to happen 26 minutes later.
Field's gone.
And then
Looks like you're engaging the opponent.
you start building cannons. You know how much a gateway costs compared to a cannon?
Well, the same.
Exactly. How
Before
many
tax.
how many zealots can a cannon warp in?
Next patch, maybe.
Next patch, maybe. But his army right now is literally Marine Marauder Medevac. All you have to do is max out and go. You are way ahead. Everything you do that isn't that is avoiding winning. That's what it comes down to. So that's I don't want to see how that ends. It's a disaster. The Terran is obviously struggling because the idea of disruptors is causing him to have a panic attack. And you are struggling because you're trying to fight like a sword battle with a glass vase.
That's very weird.
Yes. And it keeps breaking, and your hands are all bloody. But you're also stabbing him, so everybody's getting messed up with that. Mentally and physically.
Well,
Alright, so build more gates is still on here. I'm just going to go through it. For ZVP, forward third check. Oracles are for scouting. They don't have weapons. Your dream composition is 12 carriers, an Oracle, 5 Templar, a dozen Zealots / Archons, and a Mothership with sentries at all, and no more than 8 cannons before getting at least 4 Stargates or Robos and 12 gates. Alright? You have a tendency to just start building cannons, and it doesn't stop. Oh yeah, we have from the last game. Don't counter what's on the screen, counter what he's going to build, which is kind of the opposite of TVP. Just counter what's on the screen because you're winning the game. And then versus Terran, splash damage after the first attack or after you secure your third. Build sentries, accept Templar for who they are, max out and win. That's what we got.
wait. So how many gates at? Like
20.
when?
Yes. Ever. Let's start with ever. And then
Okay.
you go up to 12 gate. Okay, let me check my notes from the last 6 times.
Well, it's for those you say 10 and 12 at 60 workers.
Okay, 10 at 60 workers. 10 at 6. You still didn't do that.
Well, it's
And
close.
then
It's 7.
20 at 4 bases. All right. It's not close at 7. That is not close.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, you keep reaching for more vases. Is what that was where that analogy goes. Like you're like, well, the stalkers aren't working. Let's get some disruptors. Like, oh my god. the only spellcaster you need to use is sentries right now. For Guardian Shield. Not for Force Field. None of that. Remember, you're not parting. Keep telling yourself that. As much as you want to be, you're still not parting. 20. Yes, 20 gates. Maybe, 1/4 your probes in gates.
Oh, that makes sense.
Does it make sense?
That actually
If that
makes
works
sense.
for you, fine. If you make 88 probes, you better be making 22 gates. Okay?
Well,
At 200
I-
supply, look at your probe count. Say, okay, I have 90 probes. Build 24. Don't spend too long on math. We both know. If you say 7 is close to 10, don't be getting specific with me on what divided by 4 is. Okay. Anything else, Bob?
Nope.
Nope, that's it. Now you're going to be Grandmaster and beat me and take my letter points?
Nah, it's way too far away.
Well, one gate at a time.
I need like 500 MMR to start taking
One
your
gate
points.
at a time, Bob. And it's 600.
Well, at 500 it can start. I mean,
Actually,
like
depending
the-
on the day, you could probably hit me on the ladder.
match
Depending on how
matchmaking.
bad. But thank you, Bob, as always, for everything. And I hope you use a tiny percentage of this. That's it. Anything else?
Any percent of what?
What? Any like of the? I will send you the notepad.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Bob. Have a great
Well,
night.
Next month, see you then.
Don't say I'm not committed to my work. Next month is 10 days. Yes, I do understand how calendars work. Thank you, Bob. Yes, I'm very professional. I wasn't angry at all. That's the key. 7 days, actually, like if you round. I'm glad that came off as nice. I was afraid. I was trying. There's a lot of, like, that's... Bob's a good sport. Maybe not a good player, but a good